my apologies. I got a phone call and my video was cut off, but I just, starting off of where we left off, the sexual favors, you know. I'm not a person who, you know, gives blowjobs or have sex with someone unless I wholeheartedly trusted them or I love them. Well, not or, that I love them and I wholeheartedly trust them, you know. And at this time, this love that I thought I had for this person was fake, right? It was a love out of fear. And, you know, using my fear for, would say, prove to me by giving me a blowjob or having sex with me or doing this or that with me, prove to me that you love me, that you aren't sleeping around. And, you know, I didn't love him. He disgusted me. He physically disgusted me. And I didn't want to do any of this with him. And I remember this one time, I was forced to give a blowjob because he was so mad at me for something. I don't even remember. Something I didn't do. I know that I didn't do it. But he didn't believe me, you know. Again, with that mindset, he was already set in on believing whatever he wanted to believe. And so I started doing this blowjob. And I was crying. And he stopped me and he goes, "Stop it. I don't want you to do this if you're going to cry on me." You know, I've never seen someone look so cold-heartedly at me with so much lack of empathy in their eyes for me, towards me. And, you know, the sex, it got to the point where I was out of my body. I was just letting him do it to my body. I was letting him ejaculate in me every time. And I took Plan B every other week, I swear. You know, and he wouldn't even drive me to get it. I did it always by myself. And I was constantly emotionally crazed because, you know, it's a shit ton of hormones all in one swoop. So I wasn't in my right mind anyways, and perhaps it was all on purpose. Just to make me not leave him. I don't know. I can't know why he did what he did. I mean, it was a terrible person. And, and then, you know, towards the end of the relationship, 5 months in, it started getting a little more physical. He was going through my phone. He had to know who I was always texting, and he was starting to do this while I was asleep. And he would kick me out of the house in anger. At this point, I wasn't even going to class anymore. I was too afraid to go to class. I hadn't seen my family in months. I barely talked to them. I was just so afraid of what this person was going to do to me. And so, the last time he kicked me out of his house, it was rough. It was very rough. And I drove home in tears because I didn't know what I did, you know? And perhaps it was because I was publicly humiliated every weekend because I wasn't recognizable as a person anymore. That I don't know. He had broken me down. I crumbled. And I just kept calling him to apologize for something I didn't know what I did. And, I mean, he made me into a slave to him. I was always in a constant state of fear, constant submissive state of mind. And he wouldn't pick up my calls. It didn't matter. I left so many voicemails, but I ended up getting into a car wreck. And I broke my axle. And at the time, I had a 328i 2007 BMW. You know, it's a great car. It really is for the driving purposes. But it was over 50,000 miles, and I had put so much money into it at this point, because it's just, you know, those cars at the time, when they got to a certain point of mileage, they just broke down, and they were so expensive to fix. So it was a T-bone. I T-boned a truck who was making an illegal U-turn, broke my axle, the front axle, and I couldn't drive home. I had to be towed, and at this point it's 1 a.m. in the morning. And I'm hysterically crying, and I'm heartbroken, I'm lost. I didn't have anyone to call. So I get my car towed, and it's 2 a.m. And I call him, or actually I text him to let him know that I wouldn't be able to see him for a while. Because my car was out of commission, you know. He called me a liar. He said that I was a cheater and I was lying, and it was just so I could do whatever I want with someone. And I don't know what it was. Maybe it was because I was done. I was done being accused of lying, or I was heartbroken. I don't know, my car was broken and he didn't fucking care about me, my well-being. I don't know what it was, but I snapped. I was so angry, and it was the first time in this entire relationship that I was angry. And when I snapped, I blocked him on everything. I didn't respond, nothing. He was done. I was done with him. And the next day, I started a diet because I had gained so much weight. I was like a 210 at this point, and I started a diet with a company called MyFitFoods. They don't exist anymore, unfortunately, but in the first month, I lost 20 pounds. It was exciting. You know, I dropped a couple sizes. I was starting to feel good about myself again. I was recognizable of who I am as a person. And, but it wasn't good enough. I still had all this hatred and anger in my heart. The shame that I had of what I allowed this person to do. So I started taking revenge, you know. A few months later, I joined the same hockey league because I wasn't allowed to play hockey, you know. For whatever reasons, he refused to let me play. And I was a good hockey player. So I joined the same league that he was in, different teams. And I did it for a year where I just did everything I could get back at him, you know. I got the hot body. I was sleeping with his friends. Just being a shitty person to gain all this revenge on someone who just didn't even deserve to be in the same space as me, in the same realm. And I wasn't going to classes at this time because I was so focused on this revenge. I was so focused on just working out and just getting my revenge. And that's when my lowest point happened. I failed out of school. And it's on me. And I never told anyone until after I failed out of school. I had to tell my parents. I didn't tell in detail, but I told them enough to where they could see my pain. I told the school board because I wanted to get back into school, you know? I wanted to show them that this isn't who I am. But this was my reality at this point, and I finally told someone something, but I didn't deal with what was really going on, you know? I only spent the next year trying to get back into school, talking about how being out of school has made me feel empty and how I didn't want it. I didn't really talk about the real issue, you know, the real pain that caused all of this. I only talked about it briefly every once in a while, but I didn't ever talk about it the way I should have. So I get back into school, and I worked my ass off. And of course, there were stipulations for me because I had such a low GPA that it was near impossible for me to ever graduate. It was near impossible for me to even stay in school every semester. And my stipulations were I had to have a B+ in all my courses or above. I had to take certain courses and so forth, and I proved them all wrong. I ended up graduating in 4 years from this point. I proved everyone wrong, and I was proud of myself. I did it. And I thought doing that would help me get over all the pain and the suffering that I had done to me, that I had let done to me. For a while it did. For a while. But of course, from 2015 to 2017, I was in a relationship with a guy. The first 6 months were great. I thought I was in love, but I realized later on that I wasn't. I was settling. He wasn't anything special. He was just a nice guy who showed me affection, who thought the world of me. And I shouldn't have, gone for that. I do deserve better. And, the relationship started getting rough. I started having a lot of outbursts. He started having a lot of outbursts. I was pulling away. I realized I wasn't in love, but I didn't want to admit it to myself. And, a year or something goes by and he cheats on me, right? And I'm already broken down at this point because I'm trying to make a relationship that I don't want to be in work. I'm lying to myself. I'm lying that I love him. I'm lying that I want to be with him. I'm using sex to make it seem like I love him. And he cheats on me. And rather than kicking him to the curb, I beg for him back. Because I can't not be without him, right? And that was so wrong of me. And then it was after that point that I told him in a little bit of detail, not at all, but I told him what had happened to me, but it was already too late, The relationship was over. I was holding on to something that wasn't. So, when was it? It was May 2017. He gets an internship in New York, and he leaves, and for a while we were talking, but we started talking less and less and less. And then he just ghosted me. He was gone. I was blocked and everything. And when I had come to this realization, rather than crying and being heartbroken or angry, I just emotionally shut down. I just wanted to get through graduation. I just wanted to... that was the one thing I had to prove anyways. And I just emotionally shut down. So for the next 2 years, until I met my current boyfriend, I was emotionally not there. I was emotionally not dealing with anything that had caused me pain in the past. I didn't have pain. It was great. I was emotionally unavailable, and it was so great because I could just do me, I didn't have to worry about anyone. I could figure out for myself what I really wanted in a person, in a relationship. What would, and then I met my boyfriend. And it was exactly what I wanted, It was everything that I had hoped in a person. I met someone who could keep up with me, who had goals and aspirations, and he was reaching them. And we both fell in love with each other, It fell hard. But this past weekend we had to break up, or rather put our relationship on hold, because after the first month of dating, I started having nightmares again. I started having flashbacks during the day, and they were triggering a lot of stuff and made the relationship harder and harder. And I thought back in November, if I had just confronted this person, my abuser, and told him everything that I did, which I did, all this pain would go away. But it didn't. It came back when I was under a lot of stress. The month of January was especially hard for me. I had a coworker go out of her way behind my back to get me fired. I saved my job miraculously, but I almost lost it. I had money issues, which has been resolved since, and I crumbled. I mentally broke down. And I was back in this state of fear and dread and submissiveness, and I kept thinking of loving, my amazing boyfriend as my abuser. I couldn't stop seeing his face on my man's face. I couldn't stop thinking about a relationship like that, and our relationship wasn't like that. He loved me, and he was pushing me, and he was there for me. And I couldn't juggle this relationship on top of the progress I was trying to make for myself. I've only been in this point 3 weeks in abuse therapy, but I gave up something. I gave up someone for right now to better myself that I didn't want to. I love him so much, you know. This is the man I think I'm gonna marry. But I can't be with him when I'm like this, because it's not fair to him. It's not fair to me, because I'm holding my progress from developing. I'm allowing someone who hurt me 7 years ago to still hurt me. And that's not fair to me. It's not fair to anyone who loves me or cares about me. It's heartbreaking, because I know what I deserve. I know what where I belong. I know who I belong with. And right now I can't even have that, because he's still holding me back, because I'm still letting him hold me back. I want my life back. I want me back. And I know once I get there, I'm gonna have everything back, but right now, I'm in so much pain. Because I finally could admit to myself the shame and anger I feel towards myself. And how I'm struggling to see myself. I'm struggling. You know, these memories I get, these flashbacks, these nightmares, they're constant. And I don't deserve them. I'm a good person. I'm a loving person. I'm in a point in my life where I'm only moving forward in my career. You know, and I have a wonderful, wonderful boyfriend who loves me so much. And I have wonderful friends and family who all love me. And I know they're all there supporting me, but there's oh so much support they can give me, because they weren't there. They didn't experience what I experienced. They can't relate. They can't share my feelings to help me be better. And I'm not going to depend on them for that. I'll depend on them for the support, but I want my story to get out there. You know, it's not about the views. If I get a lot of views, that's wonderful. If I don't, that's okay too. I still want my story to be out there. I want people to see they're not alone. I want people who are suffering, whether it's similar, the same, or in some way relatable, I want them to know that there's someone out there who is struggling too, but they don't want to struggle anymore. I don't want to struggle anymore. I want to keep living. I want to keep getting better, because we deserve better. And I'm going to post every day. It's going to be on a topic of a negative feeling that I feel. I want to be there for someone, because I didn't have anyone when I was going through this, but I want to be there for someone. Thank you.